Keys to the game brought to you by Wentz Orthodontics. TCU Senior Day. Thoughts, Mr. Harris? Because this is a tough game, and you've got to win one more to get to a bowl game.
You know, and I told Cliff earlier, it's that game where you get the official game program and there's the head coach with all of those seniors. It's the same thing every year, and you start thinking back about what those guys have done in their careers and what they've meant to the program and, you know, what kind of mark they leave and where they go from here and what happens to them. But it's clearly an emotional game, particularly for them, and we as fans. I think you think back and you won't see them wearing that number again, but somebody else will take it on and you go forward. But still, it's a big day for those guys and a big day to see them for the last time. But as far as keys to this game, I'm going right back to last week in the ball game against Baylor. We talked about the need for hidden yards. We talked about kickoff return yards, punt return yards, maybe an interception in return or a fumble return in those yards to help out an offense. So what do we do against Baylor? We run the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, 92 yards. Late in the game, we strip the ball away from a Baylor receiver, run it 31 yards for a touchdown. So nearly 190 yards in that game, hidden, and a couple of touchdowns that the offense doesn't have to drive the ball down the field. Potential for a mistake, potential for a turnover, and you don't get anything out of it. So I think in a game where the offense didn't have as many yards and particularly didn't perform as well as they liked in the fourth quarter, well, you got a defensive touchdown in that fourth quarter to help offset things. So against TCU, one of the top defensive units in the country, best in the Big 12, a big kickoff return, a punt return, interception, fumble return, some kind of play there to swing momentum to the Red Raiders side, maybe even get on the scoreboard, would be a huge plus against the Frogs.
There's no question, because you may not get many chances.
No, that's the thing.
To me, this game's about Nick Shimonek. I think he needs to play the best game of his college career, and I think that he's got to take care of the ball, for one, but two, he's got to make the easy play, but he's got to make some plays for his team, and he can't, on some key third downs, he can't misdiagnose what he's seeing and make a mistake. He's got to find the open guy, but he's going to have to make some plays and be very accurate in this game, because he's not going to get that many chances, but there are going to be some chances, I think, down the field that they can make, but he's got to make those throws. If you do that, I think you're in this game with a chance to win it late in the game, but you just don't want to make those mistakes like we saw against Kansas State and Iowa State that turns into points for the other team.
Well, absolutely not, and I think by saying the same thing about the Red Raider defense, they got to make some plays too. TCU has some issues at quarterback, probably going to see a true freshman starting, and the Red Raiders expect a huge dose of the Frog ground game. You got to come up and you got to control that and not let them be able to make a play in the passing game to beat you when you're doing that. But all in all, limited opportunities for both teams offensively, I think. You got to make the most of what you have, and I think hidden yards may be a key again for the Red Raiders in this one.
Keys to the game brought to you by Wentz Orthodontics.